Yo, what up guys? Welcome to my final video on my Reinforcing C++ Introductory series. Today guys, we're going to basically wrap all of the things we talked about in our previous videos, which is all right here. The playlist is in the description, or you can click on it anywhere on the side. We're basically going to solve a problem that's typically asked when doing an interview for programming. So the problem we're going to solve today is checking if a string is palindromic. A palindromic word is a word, phrase, or sentence or any character combination when read or written backwards produces the original character combination. For example, race car, when written or read backwards, produces the exact same string. Booth, for example, does not. What we gotta do is program that in. How are we gonna make a function that checks this? Now I have two functions. One I'm gonna leave blank, but we're gonna do in our video. We're gonna leave it blank because I have an exercise for you. We're going to do the is_palindromic together. That's gonna be our base function. That's going to be the one we're gonna use to test our other one. This one, I want you to go ahead and look in the description and download the source code for this project. Open up Visual Studio or any compiler or IDE, and I want you to try to create a function that's in here, is palindromic. It's going to be empty, and I want you to return true if a string is palindromic or if it's false. So all you have to do, you can assume that input is a word or anything, any string, and you got to check when it's backwards if it's palindromic or not. Now you're going to have a solution up here that uses iterators, probably something you haven't learned yet if you're watching this series while in your first programming class. But if you have, that's fine. I just want you to create a solution that kind of uses a loop. You don't have to use a for loop, but this is how we're going to do it together. At this point, I assume that you've created your function that's going to check if it's palindromic or not in here. I'm going to do two solutions now to solve this problem. The first one uses iterators. This function can actually be done in one line. What we're going to do is we're going to return if input is equivalent to std string, and we're going to call the constructor on this new string object. We're going to do input dot rbegin. So we're going to construct a string with an iterator beginning at the reverse begin, and then with the reverse end. And of course we're going to have to put parentheses here because they're functions. And then we're going to end the line. So yeah, this solution can be done on one line, but it assumes that you know that these functions exist. So it's a pretty technical solution to get it to work on one line. You're going to have to know a lot of things. We're going to try to do it a more trivial way of solving this. We're going to use a loop. Before we begin the loop, I want some variables just so we don't have to call functions. I want a variable called last character position, and we're going to set that equal to input dot length -1. So we talked about arrays, and a string is kind of a character array in C++. Let's say input is equal to 5. The length of this string is 5, but the valid position, the last character, is position 4 because h is position 0. But if you just pass in h, for example, the length isn't 0, it's 1. So there's 5 elements in hello. That's why the last character position is going to be 4 in this case. It's the length -1. Next variable we want is the length of the string. Alright, so this is going to mark our input length. It's just the length of the string. We're doing this similar to our last video. We're creating variables. Now we're going to create our for loop. We're going to have an int start at the start position. That's what start car position. Okay, because we have last car position and we have start car position. And the first valid character is 0. Because I told you the first element is 0. We want to check if start position is less than the length, not the last character position. This is going to be used when we dereference the string using this angle brackets. Dereference that character array, the string. We never want to put in string length in there, so that's why we have this variable. Or what we want to do after every iteration of the for loop is actually do two things, and I'm going to show you how to do that. The first thing is start character position ++. And then last character position -. We can do that all in one loop. We can have two things increment and decrement at the same time. In our loop, we're going to check if put sub, so this is dereferencing. See how we're not going to put string length ever in here. Start character position. We're going to check if that's not equal to the last character position. So input sub last character position. Okay, if that's true, then we want to say, okay, this is not palindromic. With one simple observation, we can actually shortcut this operation. If the start character position, because we increment and decrement, right? If it's greater than the last character position, we are palindromic, okay? Let's see why. When I say return false, return true, I'm saying if I return true, it is palindromic. If it's false, we're not palindromic. How is this possible? Okay, so every iteration of the for loop, we're checking if input sub start character position is not equal to the last character position. That's reading it backwards, basically. That's checking if they're not equal. You know, obviously it's not palindromic. But why is this a thing? We're checking two integers. It's a very simple operation. We're checking if start position is greater than last position. So 3, 2. So think about hello, right? We're checking H and O right now. That's going to fail, okay? But how about if we do race car? Okay, R and R is good. Okay. Next iteration, we increment this by 1. So it's going to be 1. And then this is going to be 5, I believe. I'm going to check the two A's. That's going to work. The two C's. That's going to work. And now we're checking so start positions right here. We're going to check if E is equal to E. And that's going to be true. Start character position is going to be here. And then last character position is going to be here. We're basically shortcutting. We don't have to check the whole string again. We're checking only half the string because we start here and we are starting here with the last character position. That means we only have to check until the middle character. And if it's even, it's really easy. But if it's odd, we have this extra character. It doesn't matter what this character is. So that's why we can shortcut with this. I have pre-written this for you, the unit test palindromic. This will take a file. A little aside here. I have a strings text file in the directory where driver is. And it has a list of strings here that we're going to test. You can create your own if you would like. Or you can just use this. I'll just go over the test code right now. We check if the file is not open, and then we just return false. We want to break the method. We don't want to use that file if it didn't open. We create a string variable to store each word that we use for the get line. Remember in one of our previous videos, the get line takes in a string right here, and it's passed by reference, so it actually changes the actual string you pass in. And we're checking if we call both functions, the is palindromic, the one line one and the one we just made, and we're checking if they're not equal, and we're going to say which word failed that test. And then we have a debug in here in this while loop. If you use debug, which it is true right now, it's going to print each result of each function. Oh god, my test code is wrong here. We don't even pass word into it. Okay, if we go ahead and try this again. Anyways, it tells us that at the end if we passed or not. It will do that regardless. If we want to switch this to false, we won't get the debug messages. We can just see if it passed or not, and if it didn't pass, where did it fail. So yeah guys, this concludes our last video for this series. I will begin a new C++ series pretty shortly. We're going to talk about more advanced things. This assumes that you've taken a second year in a C++ class. It's going to be similar to our first one, but with a lot more assumptions, less explaining certain things, and more functional stuff. So yeah, that's going to be about it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate your time here. And if you did enjoy this exercise, I hope you were to subscribe. I prefer you leave a rating based on how you actually feel about the video. If you have any constructive criticism towards the series, please leave that in the comments. Love to see it, love to hear it, love to respond to it. Until next time, guys, it's been fun making this series, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out now.